Well, hello, Pastor Norman.
Well, hey there, Mom. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great, 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 great. Like they say,
Well,
can't complain about nothing.
I won't complain. That's what it's saying. I won't
That's the
complain.
I won't complain. Yeah.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another session with us, Pastor Norman and myself, and my husband, who will be here in just a minute. You always find something to do, right?
hmm
Yeah. How's the weather in South Carolina?
A little cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and kind of looked like it really wanted to rain, but it just kind of drizzled a little bit. So
Yeah, we've been kind of cloudy all day and cool, and had some rain earlier this morning, but not all day. But we need some rain here. We really need some rain, but it feels so good. I love this kind of weather.
yeah, here
I
too.
know.
We are in a drought. We need some rain as well. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
I
yes.
know. I know. But the grass will come back the minute the rain hits it.
hmm
What you preach Sunday, young man?
Jump.
Jump. That was it.
That was the title of the message. Jump.
All right, give me an elaboration. Like, give me a
Uh,
little bit of what you were talking to him about.
well, of course, we still on that series, helping people once again to discover uh, their purpose and their gifts and abilities. And so, how oftentimes we're contemplating if we're going to start a business, if we're going to do this and that. And so I just share with them, jump into it. Take that leap of faith. We oftentimes deal with the fear of the unknown, and so
Mhm.
oftentimes we are in this place of stagnation because we don't know if we take that step if we're going to fail. And so I was sharing with them, why is it that we always think negative first? And
Yeah,
so, what if that first jump, that first leap of faith that you take, pretty much would be the one that will forever change your life. And
yeah.
so, of course, I meant it in a very positive way. And so, we was talking about that, and how people have so many things that they want to do, and the Lord just said, "Jump, take that leap of faith." Yep,
Yeah, sounds like you're headed in a motivational,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
motivational tendency there. That's
Mhm.
okay. That's great. That's great. People love that. As a matter of
Mhm.
fact, it hurts them. It helps them a whole lot whenever
Yeah,
they do that.
exactly.
You want to say hello? Let's see who's here. This is Pastor Norman. In case
I'm your mind.
for those of you who don't know, and just visiting us, Pastor Norman is our spiritual son. He's down in South Carolina, Moncks Corner, actually. And we're here in North Carolina. So welcome. He's got his wonderful ministry going on down there, Bold Ministries, and he's doing a great job. Appreciate him so much and love him. So he's our spiritual son, in case you're wondering. This is my sissy, my brother-in-law. Hey guys, hey, and then there's Dee Dee and George and Sandra. These are our regulars, right? John Greason's in the house. Hey, John Greason. And Sissy's letting me know that she can hear and see us clearly. Thank you, dear. Thank you so much. And for all of you all who are not commenting, but you're here watching, thank you so much. Jill always texts people to let them know that they were coming on. So there are a lot of people watching that don't really say anything, and that's okay. That's okay. I did something interesting this week. Uh, I can't remember what made me do it. I was, honey, you reaching in front of me while I'm talking. What are you gonna see? Here, here. You want it? Who is that? This it's old. Okay. So I did something interesting this week. As you guys know, I've been talking about you. I've been using Chat GPT and AI. I've been using it just because, sometimes you need a little extra help, and it does give you some help. It gives you a lot of help, a lot of help. Um, in fact, I let it help me this week to create a letter for the reverse mortgage lenders, and it really was good. What I sent to them, it clarified a few things and got some things cleared up for the underwriters. So that was a great thing. And I asked the lender what she thought of the letter, and she said, "Oh, it was a great letter." So it helped me to put a timeline on some things so that the underwriters could have clarity, which is good. And so it's helpful. It's very, very helpful. And I know a lot of people may not be using it, especially people my age. I'm in the 70s. We're 78. I'll be 78 in July. I'm 77. But yeah, so I'm learning to use it. And I did, after doing that on the other day, I decided to ask it a question. This was so interesting, Pastor Norman. I want you to do it for yourself. I asked it to go back and look at some of the videos that we've had. And I told it to look at a particular video and to give me a synopsis of what it thinks.
Excuse me.
Give me a synopsis of what it thinks is our teaching style, and give me a summary of our ministry. And it gave me.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
You okay?
Yeah, I got a frog and a duck and a chicken in my throat. Go ahead.
Sure, you okay?
Yeah.
So I asked it to give me a summary based on the video, and it did that. So I'm gonna read that to you guys, let you hear what it says. Hey, Miss Doris, I wanted to say specifically to Miss Doris because she sent us a little love gift, and thank you so much, dear, for doing that, for thinking about us. Thank you for that. Jill just popped in, and just wanted to make sure Miss Doris knew we got it. We did, sweetheart. Anyway, let me move this banner out of the way, and I'm going to finish saying what I was saying. If Dad doesn't start interrupting me again, let's see what we're going to do. Okay. It gave me our core teaching style. Very, very eye-opening for me. And then I did it for myself individually, and I did one for Dad individually. Very eye-opening. And not only eye-opening, it brings out your best skills, the best parts of you, and then it also shows you where the weaknesses are. I thought that was really interesting. So here we go. I'll tell you a little bit of it. It says, our core teaching style, what stands out, is number one, identity-centered teaching. And it said this is foundational. It said their ministry focus is literally establishing the identity of Christ in the earth. That's our mantra. And then it says, everything flows from who you are in Christ, not just what you do. They don't start with behavior, they start with identity, which then drives behavior. I thought, man, this thing is really analyzing us and showing us how the world sees us. Okay. Then number two, direct confrontational delivery on purpose. Titles are not accidental. They intentionally challenge comfort, confront excuses, and disrupt passive Christianity. This is wake-up preaching, not comfort preaching. Isn't that something?
Did it say wake-up preaching?
It said wake up.
Wow.
Sure did. This is wake up preaching, not comfort preaching. Then it says, number three, transformational, not just informational. Their teaching environments are described as transformational and thought-provoking. They aim for mindset shifts, internal change, and lived experience. It's less of learn this scripture and more of become this truth. I said, man, this thing is something. Then it said, number four, Christ consciousness and oneness emphasis. They explicitly teach oneness with God, deeper awareness of identity in Christ. This is more revelatory, consciousness-based approach, not traditional denominational teaching.
You're gonna make me shout.
I want you to do it for yourself. So you gotta get it to do that, Pastor Norman. Number five, interactive, and reflective, especially outside Sunday. So it analyzes even our Tuesday night life classes, right? Their life class format encourages questions, discussion, and personal exploration. They don't just preach at people, they engage thinking. I thought, man, that thing is cool. Then it says, talked about us together, said husband, wife, dynamic teaching. They minister together as a team with a unique anointing. What that looks like in practice is one may challenge and the other clarifies. Balance between firmness and relational tone. Isn't that something? This creates a layered delivery, not just one dimensional.
Wow. Now, that is awesome.
Yeah, you got to do yours. Number 7, real life practical application. Their messages consistently deal with cycles, mindset, relationships, and responsibility. You'll hear things like, what are you tolerating? Why are you still here? What are you choosing? Then they have the non-traditional reinterpretive approach. They openly rethink religion, challenge traditional frameworks, so you can expect less ritual emphasis, more internal transformation emphasis. In plain terms, their style is a mix of identity teaching, who you are, accountability preaching, what you must change, consciousness oneness perspective, blunt disruptive delivery. So I know we're very direct. The strengths of their style. This is cool. He said, we break denial quickly, forces personal responsibility, helps people move from theory to action. Strong on identity, which many churches underteach. Now here it goes. Says where people sometimes struggle to keep this balanced and real. The blunt tone can feel intense and confrontational. Less traditional structure, not always verse by verse. And so it requires, on the other part of the listener, maturity and willingness to be challenged. The bottom line is they're not trying to entertain you, comfort you, or just teach theology. They are trying to shift how you see yourself so your life actually changes. What you think?
That is but the funny thing about it, the reason why I snuck it when you started laughing when you first mentioned it, one of my members just shared with me the end of last week about that and said, Apostle, you definitely got to get on it. They even sent the link to their account for me to go ahead and do so because they did some stuff on there and stuff. There's also individuals that just all this happened in the last week now. Some individuals that actually had that do the music for their lyrics to a song, to some songs.
Oh, yeah, it's out there and it's helping a lot of people do things. Now I haven't delved into it that much. And Jill just says she likes it a lot. And Dara says that's right on point. It is. It really is. I said this thing is psychic. It knows us very well.
But not only that, how can I say it? It seems as if it's actually thinking on its own.
And it is. And it is.
And that's the part that's shocking.
Yeah, I asked it, Pastor Roman. I said, did you base this information on only one video? Because I told it to give me a summary of one of the videos. And it said it couldn't give me the summary because it didn't have enough progression out there for it to do an analyzation. And so because we were a smaller channel, it said, it couldn't give me the summary of that. And because we had just done the video, I think, so it didn't bullet. But anyway, I asked it, I said, I kind of forgot what I was going to say. I asked it to give me what it thought about us personally. and it did, and it talked about the framework behind our teaching, and yeah, it talked about the framework, and that it is that everything we're teaching is biblical. It said.
Yes, that
Hmm.
we do know,
Hmm.
even though those in that circle would not think so.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
So,
how long did it take for it to generate the information back
oh
that you
man,
asked?
less than 5 minutes.
So see, that's why I said it is uh as if it's thinking on its own. That's all I can, that's the best way I can say, which
Hold
is
up, Pastor Norman. I'm hearing something
That's
strange.
her.
What's she doing?
You can throw up.
Oh, that's the dog. I'm sorry. That's the dog.
Hold on.
She's
I'll
been
have to
feeling
take care of
feeling bad, so he's working on her right now. Someone says we don't have a connection. So can I
that's
guess
one of my members. Delphine, please explain what no connection means.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it gave us a real good analyzation, and it didn't take but maybe 5 minutes, and it did its thing. So baby, you coming through this, and then I'll do that.
Yeah.
You got it? That's all of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Baby girl's been feeling poorly. She's gonna have to have surgery next week.
Oh,
So yeah. So she's she's okay. She just had a upchuck. So
so so
what was I
so
so what was
now
I
all we seen and this is why, and I've been on this topic with discussions with other people. And we know that there is a lot going on right now in that particular industry
Mhm.
concerning the pros and the cons. Today, you shared amazing pros of it, and then of course there are those that are, I ain't gonna even say skeptical, because see, based off of the information that you shared, it gave a detailed
Yeah, and
synopsis and summary of everything that fits
yes,
perfectly.
yes. Now it is not perfect by any means, so I wouldn't say somebody should use it to get definite answers about their business. While it can give you analytical information, it can be not as accurate as your information might not be exactly accurate, but it'll be as close to it as you can get. And so I've learned this much with it, and I don't know why I'm telling you this, but anyway, I've learned this much with it, that you have to be very, very specific in what you ask it. You can't just throw a question out there and expect it to understand. You have to be very, very specific. In fact, I did one time I did use it to give me a summary of something I had written. And when it gave me the summary, it it actually gave it to me from a version that was not me. And I said to it to make it more personal. And then it began to give me more of my personal flavor. So yeah, it's very useful. Um, so I don't know. It for me, I think it's just something that I'm getting used to. It also gave me how our sessions would differ if Dad were to do his alone and I were to do mine alone, and what
Mhm.
our strengths are, what his strength is, and what mine are, and versus weaknesses as well. So it's very it helps you to really see how others see you when I did that for the ministry. So that was really good for us. Really good for us.
So what is the difference of that? I love this. I love this path you're about to take. What is the difference between that and our unformed self?
Okay, now I'm not sure I understand where your question's going with that direction.
Because
Can you
and this is the discussion that's happening. And like I said, there are those that are for it. There's those that are skeptical, especially those in the religious circle. But for it to respond to your questions in the way that it did, and like I said, because we ourselves are not perfect, all right? But it gave you a very insightful response and answer, where myself and those of us that have been on this particular broadcast with you guys, and those of us that know y'all, it gave a detail in our own eyes, a perfect description of you guys and what you teach and everything. And I mean, even to make the statement that y'all really focus on identity, and this is something that the church world itself does not. And we know that to be true. Those are the things that we have been sharing and talking about, and so the reason why I said that, because can we say that it has a conscience?
Yes, and it's almost like you have to give it that. It has the ability to analyze specifically, but to give it for it to give you the most accurate answers, it has to be given consciousness. So it pulled the information from all of the videos that it had seen of us, and it went through those videos fast. And then it said that our biblical framework, this was interesting to me. It says our biblical framework is in Christ's identity. This is the backbone. And then he said the apostle Paul repeatedly teaches that believers are no longer defined by their past, but by their union with Christ. The core scriptures that it said we pulled from was 2 Corinthians 5:17. If anyone is in Christ, he's a new creature, or Galatians 2:20. Of course, you guys know that's our favorite. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And Colossians 3:3, which is your life is hidden with Christ in God, said this is where their identity first approach comes from. So it was interesting to me that it determined that we try to get people to focus on their identity before anything else.
Exactly. So
I think there's more to that, isn't it?
There is more to it, and I didn't know if you wanted me to go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is very insightful.
Because it's some more she gonna read, and that will really blast you.
Well, I don't know. You think it will?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, this is, and Jill's mentioning that she said it can't create. It does sometimes hallucinate with or without enough information. Yeah, you have to give it enough information. That's what I've discovered. If you don't give it enough information, it will be inaccurate in some ways. And then it says this: union and oneness is the framework of our teaching, using the books of John and Paul. And it says this is where their language can sound deeper or less traditional, but it is biblical. And then it says from Jesus Christ in John 17:21, that they all may be one. This is the scripture. As you, Father, are in me and I in you. John 15:5, I am the vine and you are the branches. And from Paul, we pull from 1 Corinthians 6:17, he who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. This is the foundation for their oneness, Christ consciousness language. And he says, important distinction is this. Biblically, we talk about union with God, not you are God in essence, but you are fully joined and dwelt and identified with him. Then it talks about mind and renewal transformation. It says that we strongly emphasize changing how you think, not just what you do. The core scripture that it gave for that was Romans 12:2, about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. This explains why they confront thought patterns and why they push awareness and perception. Our angle, he said, our angle is if your thinking doesn't change, your life won't change, even if you believe. I thought, man, this thing is something. It says, okay, the responsibility and choice, the framework for us is wisdom, plus New Testament. And he used our video from Sunday, said their "get out of the ditch" tone comes straight from biblical accountability themes.
And I had a conversation with a pastor, well, y'all know Pastor Man, and I mentioned that to him about the donkey and stuff like that. But so now we're in a different age, and the reason why I am impressed by this, and it's like I said, it has been something that I've been pondering on with all of the things that's happening and so forth. So now, when, like I said, it has a sense of awareness, a sense of consciousness. So now, going back to the question that I asked, how is that any different than our unformed self? And what I mean by our unformed self, I am talking about that part of us that cannot be seen. Again, like Dad said, and we all know this by now. This is just a suit. We do not identify with the suit. We identify with our Creator. And so, what was causing me to be on this train of thought is because now I am thinking about how is consciousness actually developed. You see what I'm saying? Because it can only, again, trying to understand the creation of it, it can only give you what was given to it. But it has able to take all of the information that has been downloaded into it, if I'm using the right terms, because I don't know nothing about the development of AI. But it was able to give an educational, intelligent, once again, synopsis and summary of you guys that fit y'all so very well.
True.
So
and was eye-opening again, like I said, eye-opening because there are things that I didn't realize about ourselves. I think we're very critical of ourselves when we audit or look at our own style through our own lens, our conditional lens. We'll sometimes think we're not doing as well, but it lets you know what you're doing well and what you're not doing well.
Exactly. So does that look like conversation that we have amongst our own selves?
Yeah, it does. It is. And it is subject to misinterpretation.
Exactly.
Now, John's asking a question. It's a valid question. He said, does AI have a full knowledge of the Bible? Probably not. But it has more knowledge of it than the average person.
I would answer that straight yes.
Because it's pulling from so many avenues, so many sources. It's not just pulling from one source.
So it's a compilation of integrated thoughts and information. So, because see, like for example, a lot of us, and I know this, for anyone that say if you Google anything now, AI is involved in that, and so a lot of us we're having some interaction with AI, but not aware of it because we don't see AI. And so I've noticed that from the time that they were doing that, you can go and Google something, no matter what it is, and it gives a more detailed, once again, output than it did before.
Now, Jill's mentioning this, and this is exactly the way it should be looked at. AI has have access to all of the different versions of the Bible.
Exactly.
And all sacred texts as well. Yeah.
So
now, I even asked it how we compare to people who are non-church or more so in that spiritual community, not Christian community. And it gave me the breakdown of how we differ and yet how we are similar.
So is it safe to say, because again, this is a direct, and let me say why this is interesting. several years ago at a leadership conference, there was a bishop that came to the stage, and I mean it's public, so we was
Yeah, I
at
remember you telling us about it. So
right
go ahead. It's okay to tell it.
came to the stage that morning session, and he shocked everybody because he did not come out what we are familiar with, a message, religious sermon or whatever.
Yeah.
He came out asking this question straight off the bat. What if you as a pastor is sitting down, and he used a woman sitting down, and this woman is saying, Pastor, I want you to perform on my wedding. And he said, oh, you're getting married, congratulations, and so forth. And so he's taking her name down, information down, and when she wants to have the wedding and everything like that. And then he asked the question, so are y'all ready for me to schedule your premarital counseling sessions?
Mm-hmm.
And she makes a statement that would not be necessary, for they're creating my mate for me. What do you do now as a spiritual leader when you are faced with something like, and we are here now because when he shared that, it was like a year later that my wife and I was watching Good Morning America, and there it was.
Okay.
Because you do know that there's going to be the integration of AI and, robots. All right, where it's the attempt.
It's happening already, yeah.
Exactly. It is the attempt of placing consciousness into a vessel. I'll put it that way. And so we are seeing, and I never thought in my lifetime that I would see, we're actually seeing something that we have watched and been entertained by on television.
Yes.
And it's now becoming a reality. So now, again, we understand God created everything, all right? But at the same time, when I look at Genesis chapter 11, which constantly is coming back to me, that Genesis chapter 11, we know it as the story of the Tower of Babel, all right? Them building. So, but it's what God said in that particular chapter, where he said that nothing that they will imagine will be restrained from them, which simply means nothing that they imagine, because they are operating as one, it will not be impossible. And so what we have seen coming up in our generation, things that entertain us because we thought, ain't no way in the world, that's impossible. And now it's happening.
Yeah. We don't realize in a lot of, like you said, and I don't want people to think we're simply endorsing AI or anything like that, because we're not. We're just saying that it can be valuable, and it would be to your advantage to learn it, because it's everywhere. Today I had to change the address on our health insurance because some of my mail was coming to my neighbor, because it had gotten confused somehow or another with her address. And so when I went online to change it, it said to talk on the chat. Well, a lot of us think when we get on the chat, we're talking with a person, but we're not. It introduced itself as a virtual assistant. And so when I told it what I needed, it actually connected me with a person, but it didn't have to connect me with a person in all cases, just in certain cases. And so a lot of the times when we're talking on the phone or doing anything, we're actually talking to AI and don't realize it. We're talking to AI. And then there's other areas where it is. So it's infiltrated a lot of our day-to-day activities, and we don't realize it is. But it's interesting what some of the other things it said about us. It says that in our case, we don't fuel victim mentality or passivity or making excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And we teach grace, but grace that empowers change, not passive grace. That we lean toward a transformational view of grace, not just forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scripture for that. And then it says grace is not permission to stay stuck, it's power to live differently. So it tells us what we're doing and how we're doing it and what it does, how people actually, it even said how there were certain classifications of people, types of personalities, how they would respond to our particular style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
And
it
so,
was, yeah.
so, and correct me if I'm wrong. Did you not mention that it gave it its name or a name?
No,
And
it did
it,
not
it
give us
didn't. Okay.
mm-mm.
In some cases, because I've had a situation like, and I think I shared that with y'all before, where I called to set an appointment for my oil to be changed in my vehicle, and this was last year. And as I'm communicating with what's on the other line, I'll put it that way, I'm thinking that I'm actually talking to a person in the beginning, but I immediately
Was
picked
not.
up. I
Well,
picked
that
up
may be
something.
why, yeah, that may be why Jill's asking, did it comment on the humor? Uh, it did not say much about the humor. And that's another thing that I can go back and ask it about, because I didn't think to ask it about that. So I thank you, Jill. I will ask it about that. But yeah, Pastor Norman. So it was beneficial too, because a lot of times we see other people and compare ourselves to them. And when I pull this up, it kind of helped me to let go of that,
Mm-hmm.
because your own uniqueness should not be compared to anyone else.
Never, never.
And
Um,
a lot of times we don't look at ourselves from the standpoint of how what we bring to the table. We always look at ourselves as to how maybe we're not as eloquent as someone else, or can do it as well as someone else. We tend to be very judgmental and critical of our own delivery. And so, and I'm talking about us, the two of us. And so, but it was able to tell me how the world sees us.
exactly. And see, that's the part that, because see, again, this is not about, and I'm not at, I'm going somewhere with this.
I know
It,
you're
it's
excited. I
not
see that.
it's not about endorsing AI. That is not the place I'm
Mm-mm.
coming from. What I want everybody to see is, again, when God made that statement to man in Genesis chapter 11, that anything that he imagined, it will not be restrained or impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know Jesus makes a statement in Mark chapter 9 again to the man that brought his son that was dealing with the demonic oppression. And he said, nothing is impossible unto him that believes. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want us to see what has happened, the journey of man itself, which in all actuality, it is revealing to us our true God identity, because it is man
Yeah.
from his divine self that is creating, because Jill made the statement, and that's what I wanted everybody to see.
Mm-hmm.
For us being able to create another intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
you see what I'm saying? We can call it artificial.
Mm-hmm.
God created intelligence. Man has the ability to do exactly what Father
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
again, and so it is revealing to us our true God nature,
And
which is
abilities.
to
Yes.
create.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And abilities. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so, and I wanted to kind of say this, that yesterday Dad and I were talking. I think it was yesterday. It might have been this morning. I get mixed up, but we were talking about how that we are in essence is Christ. And my mind went back to when we both saw Jesus coming down the steps in my mom's house, down the stairs, and he spoke to us and said, "Stay in the way." When we saw that, we saw Jesus as a separate self. And a lot of people when you say the word Christ, they think you're talking about Jesus, but it's not. Not. It's not. But this is where most people's minds go. But we did see Jesus because Jesus has been our mentor and guru and spiritual teacher and all of those things. So Jesus has led us to this truth. And so following him has brought us to this place. Now, what we discovered was when Jesus came down the stairs, he was mimicking what my husband was doing every night. He was coming down those stairs and going into the closet under the stairs to do his devotionals. So when Jesus came down, he mimicked my husband doing those things. So that said to us, that taught us, it was an impartation lesson, that taught us that he is us doing these things. It is Christ in as us doing these things. And then I made the comment to him, I said, those were Christ's legs coming down the steps. I said, those were Christ's legs that went under the stairs. It was always Christ doing it. So everything, and this is where I learned this week, everything, even when we get upset, it's Jesus or it's the Christ running the money changers out of the temple.
Exactly. God himself in Genesis 6 said, I repent that I made man.
Right. So we can't even say when we have those negative upheavals that we call negative, we can't even say we can't say that's not Christ. Because I saw that being used this week, that preceded a miracle. It's like the disturbance that I experienced. I was so angry and frustrated. The disturbance that I experienced triggered whatever this is that didn't have the courage to say certain things. It began to say what it needed to say and caused a miracle to happen.
Exactly. Something he just told me to tell you. Let me carry it out in first person. You're in a store. You looked at your stove at home. You saw another one that had more functions than the one you got. You're looking at it and you're ready to take the one out and put in another one that would be more convenient for you. I see you shopping and looking for a different stove to work with to do things that you want to do with cooking and fixing things. But he said, he was telling me right then that you were in the process of moving one out and putting another one in. That's what I saw you doing as the Christ self. And you were in the store and the Christ self was in you watching itself, looking at some other type of vehicle that would cause a change in your kitchen. That's what he said to you, to Pastor Norman.
And now that part already happened. And that was maybe a couple of years ago, whatever. I did remove a stove out and put in another one. But at the same time, I have been going to the stores and looking at different things in the stores because I want to redo some stuff in my kitchen.
He said the one that you really want would take up more room than the one that you have.
On a chef stove.
And that's the thing.
He said,
with my mom.
He said you're also trying to figure out a way you can put a place of assortment of many. It's like you got a store. You're putting in something that will store more product,
supplies,
more packed food in freezer. Because the freezer waste system you have is not big enough.
Right. I have 3 freezers. So
but it's not big enough because it's not, even though you have 3, it's still not, he said it's not what you want in one package. And he said that he's watching and he's doing this through you. And he also showing me that there is a a room that is connected to your house in your image department that would give you more space. Then he stopped there and he started talking to me right then about uh, assortment of display, almost like you. I see you like at a window serving people from uh, a truck like thing, but it's in the house.
Like a food truck.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's what I see. And he's telling me about picture and intuition that this is part of a contract that you had before you came to Earth to do this, but it never came to fruition because um, it's something about changing the limitation of your space and enlarging something that would carry. And he said, for this is out to fulfill itself in you. It is not completely furnished as you desire it to be. And he's watching you go through the image of enlarging and making room. That's what he said. That's what I see. Okay.
Yep. That is what I am envisioning. Yep.
He's also saying something about a book that you're looking for, but it's inside of you of different recipes. That's what he said. He said that you in some type of I see a list of jars and different types of flavored spices. And he said he's beginning to give you a way to put them together to make things fit and taste different, because something in you is coming up with some ideals to change and shock the taste of something that nobody's never tasted before. That's what he's saying. That's what I hear. That's what I see. That's what I see forming. But he said, look at it, because it's the Christ in you that's looking at it. He said, listen to it, because it's the Christ in you speaking through you without words and without sound and without voice. Okay. If I could, I would build a shelter over top of a car. I see it. I would build a shelter where I could put 2 cars. That's what he said. Yeah, I hear it. He said, I would also change the steps that you go in through to get into your house. I want to make it like a porch, sun porch, cement, concrete structure, where I can put chairs out there and put a covering over it where it will not be. He said also he's changing the flow of a water stream coming in your yard somewhere, like a digging out a path for water to get out from around your house. It's a flow of water. It's a flow. Okay, he's saying this. There is a presentation of an angel giving you a place or a building somewhere to look at. That's talking to me too. And he said, all of these are prospects of inventions are inside of you, but he said they are there on file inside of you. But then I saw you with a book, and you put all the recipes that you want to create in that book. I saw it. I see it now. I feel it. I can taste it. I can taste it. Because as I see you writing it and putting it down, you're publishing it, and you're presenting it, and you're getting it ghost read,
Ghostwriter.
ghostwriter. And he says there is a lot of things coming to you now in this area to design. Now he said you won't finish it all because it is a not mechanical. It is a Christ memory of what you went through before you came to earth. That's working inside of you. Oh, really? He said, oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay.
John Grayson.
Okay. All right. He said you are creating your own bread again. You making bread like she do, and you're testing it, and that's all a part of your programming inside of. Yeah, he said, yeah, yeah, that's right, yeah. Okay. I see some type of school. Now, whether you do this or not is kind of like it's an expression of desire, freedom to can and cannot be, if you desire it to be. I see you creating a school where you're teaching somebody how to cook. And they're asking you, when are you going to show me how? And you hadn't got to it yet. Every time you get ready to do it, something comes up. But this is in the plan. Why are you laughing at that?
I'm going to wait till you finish, and I'm going to let your audience know how you in my business.
He said, if you wanted to, he said, you can look at these trucks, the catering trucks, and it would be like giving food to hungry people. And I'll stop right there because there's so much going on. It's a never-ending Christ conversation that I hear inside of me about this. Yep, that's what it says. Yep. And he said, with this tonight, he's showing me how to speak to people of the infinite creativity of your Christ self.
Yeah. That isn't necessarily attached to a ministry or a church.
No, it has nothing to do with that.
Or any of that. It's just a part of your.
He did say it can take you out of the ministry and take care of you without the ministry at all.
Because it has that potential, doesn't it?
Well, you all in my business, in my thoughts, in my conversations. Everything that you said is actually true. Of course, like your key word that you said.
He said, I see you getting your doctorate. I see a doctorate degree in what do you call cooking?
Culinary arts.
That's it. Culinary.
Culinary
arts.
Condoms.
Culinary.
Cobbler.
No.
Okay.
So thank you for the confirmation, but that has been my pattern of thoughts here lately, and a conversation that I've been having with my mom. And like you said, you're getting bits and pieces, and in all actuality, there's a lot of things that I'm doing with my mom. Right now, she's doing some renovation to her house. So I've been over there because she's been dealing with some challenges in her body here lately. Moving stuff, pulling the carpet. She's put down the vinyl wood floors. We had the discussion concerning building a garage for her car.
Ah.
The schooling part is I just had this conversation with my mom. The cooking part, well, of course, my mom, and y'all know this. She's not just a great baker; she's a great cook. And so we have been talking over and over again because of some things that she's dealing with. Ma, I need to come learn your stuff. So we talked about her recipes and that it needs to be jotted down and stuff. Again, we don't want to think in that way, like,
Yeah.
mom going to be, but we know that oftentimes when someone transits, they leave something behind
Sure.
and stuff like that. And so we have been talking. The jars that Dad is seeing. I wish my wife was sitting right here right now because she would be falling out of the chair. We just started the jars that you're seeing is the mason jars. We just started back juicing the last week. And so I have been for the past week, long hours, making all these different type of juices with combinations. So the colors that you're seeing, that is the different colors of the different juices that I'm creating and so forth and so on. So I've been researching and I have been contemplating on going to culinary art school.
Okay.
I mentioned that to my mom, and it's funny that co-pastor Sawyer said what she said concerning not so much ministry focus. It won't have nothing to do with ministry. Well, I actually preached that on Sunday from the message Jump, because one of the things that I'm sharing with the congregation again is that we have been guilty of putting ourselves in a box, a religious box, which means because of that, and we have been conditioned to think that way, there are abilities that's in us that have not been tapped into. Because everything, why are you always thinking about God when we think about us being called to do something? Why I got to be a preacher? Why I got to be an apostle? You might be called to cook. You might have been called to be a mechanic. You might have been called to build houses. Why do y'all always think one dimensional that everything has to do with church?
That's right.
And so forth. And that's why I was sharing that many of y'all are missing out on, and it was funny because that morning I was utilizing again Moses, and when Moses said that people would not believe me in Exodus chapter 4, they would not believe me that you appeared to me. And the Lord said, what's in your hand? And so I used that to show them that there are things that God has given you. And so I told them, I said, what's in you possibly could be your way out. Because the book of Exodus means exit. And so I hadn't got there yet, but there's 10 manifestations that happen from the rod or the staff that Moses had. And so I was sharing with them, if you can awaken and activate and tap into the different abilities that you have been given, we could call them talents, we could call them spiritual endowments, but if you tap into them, each one of them represent a possibility of a stream of income.
Now, this is where I'm beginning to discover what kicks off that creative process. A lot of us think we dream it up and then we have a passion to go ahead and do it. But there are the majority of us who have things lying dormant inside of us that don't even show up until there's some upheaval or drastic loss, something that causes us to begin to look at life through a different lens. And so our inaction is many times, and I'm going to say most of the time, our inaction toward the creative potential that we have is fueled or instigated and activated by severe negative emotions. Either fear, anger, frustration, agitation, anxiety, even depression, because those things precede your creative process.
Exactly.
Many of us will never even start or embark on our creativity, the full potential of it, until something shakes us. When it shakes us to the point that all of a sudden we are motivated then there is the creativity that begins we actually begin the road toward that thing. So it can be a failure of something that you've been wanting to do or trying to do and it didn't work. That could be the process, the beginning of it. There's so many places and areas in our lives where we have negative emotions that we label as things that we should not feel. And then what we do is we actually suppress the creative process because we try to push those emotions down and push them aside. And in fact, they are to be used.
Mm-hmm.
They're to be used.
Let me
I
tell you
did a
something.
demonstration of that on Sunday. I said, y'all all have heard the term being pushed in the corner.
Mhm.
All right. And I said, have any of you ever been pushed in the corner? So I did a demonstration of what you would consider the enemy pushing you in a corner. Now that you're in a corner, you have nowhere else to go.
There you go.
You have nowhere, you have to make a decision.
Mhm.
And I said, for some reason, it's at that point that
Yep.
something rises up in you.
Mhm.
And I said that I'm just using this for analogy. I want to see yourself in a corner and a bully or somebody push you in the corner. Out of nowhere, all of a sudden, this other person rises up in you, and you may turn around with your eyes closed, but you come out swinging.
That's right.
You're jumping into it.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
it is so amazing that we ended up at that point, because I just talked about that on Sunday. The other thing with Dad is this, because I didn't get to tell you everything what Dad was sharing with me. See, what I have been looking for in all of the different places, I've been going to the stores, I've been pulling stuff up on my iPad or whatever, because I wanted to create an outdoor kitchen where I don't have to be in the way of my wife because she loves to cook. So oftentimes when I'm on the grill and stuff and I got to come back and forth to the sink or whatever, I've been looking at outdoor sinks. I went to buy some stuff because I'm about to change. I got 2 water faucets in my yard, so I'm going to unhook one and put it there, the outdoor sink, and pull the other cords around, the hoses around to the other one. So everything that Dad was sharing, it is actually what I have been sitting in my study, envisioning, writing stuff down. All that's everything that he said was true.
And this is what Dad and I have discovered is that is sitting down and writing it is Christ. And he allows you to be Norman, but it is Christ. And so the actual desire is Christ, isn't it? It's the desire to do it is Christ. But we don't usually put the two together. We think this is something I want to do, and we consult God about it, but we don't see that as Christ being actually the one that wants it, actually the one that is doing the analyzing and the figuring, actually is the one. And we kind of separate the two. There's no separation, and this is what Dad's been telling us. There's no separation.
When I was 4, 5, 6, and 7, I was making functionable wooden toys. Every toy that I got for Christmas that had any wheels on it, I'd use the wheels to make the go-karts and things like that. But if I had a piece of wood, which I was accessible to a lot of wood where I was raised in the wood yard, if I got a piece of wood and it needed sanding, smoothing down, you know what I used? I didn't know it was the Christ self in me giving me the idea. Or I'll find a flat brick or a rock from the creek, and I'd lay that piece of wood on a flat step, because I sat at the foot of the back steps all the time making my toys. I didn't have anything but a screwdriver, a hammer with a handmade handle in it, and a handsaw. I cut all my wood with a handsaw, no electric tools. So when I got over here in Kernaville and started buying tools, I was scared of them because I've seen my uncle get his hand cut off, his fingers cut off on one of those big uh, band saws that they use to cut
Hmm.
timber with. But I would take that rock and rub the wood with it until it's smooth like sandpaper. And then I'd cut it and put the pieces together. I also got to the place where I was given an idea how to cut round tree limbs off and slice them with the handsaw and take a screwdriver, tap it and turn it and tap it and turn it till I drill a hole in it like a screwdriver.
Hmm.
And I learned how to take meat grease.
Oh,
Now
Lord.
watch this now. I learned how to take meat grease and put it on the sides, rub my hand saw in it, so it would make me cut through the wood faster and easier.
So now what you're saying, it sounds comical, but what you're actually saying is you were a little boy and you only
At
had,
4 and 5 years old.
yeah, you only had certain tools. You didn't have the kind that you would actually
But
need
I
in order
created
to,
them.
but that's called innovation.
Yeah.
That's called, you were innovative, the innovative
Yes.
ideas. So we don't really understand that inside of us, in our psyche, the Christ is having innovative ideas. And those innovative ideas is part of your creative process. And so there are many of us who have the information that we need, but it's just down inside of us. And when you don't have all that you need, the Christ that is an innovator
Hmm.
actually is activated and
Hmm.
gives you ways to get it done. There is always a solution. There is
Always.
always a way
Hmm.
out and a way
Yeah.
to. There is always. And so when you're faced with any kind of challenge, the first thing you must know is that you need wisdom. Everything you need is inside of you. And at any moment it can be accessed.
See, I wasn't interested in school. I was interested in building, making things.
And that's another key because we
See, y'all
cannot
in my message
create.
Sunday.
We
Y'all
can
in my message.
yeah, because we cannot create unless we're interested.
But see, that's what I was talking about Sunday about the way our school system is created. And I was explaining to them concerning a child, and I used Chris as an example. All right. When and y'all remember dad, because dad even took, I think Chris might have been like 4 or 5 years old, and he had not knowing he had placed Chris on the drums. Well, I was sharing with them that, when Chris was 2.5 years old, all kids, and we see that as something normal, whatever, and there ain't no meaning to it, that they will go up under the cabinet, pull out the pots and pans, and they'll just start banging on them and stuff like that, making all this noise. And so that was something that Chris would do repetitively. And so
Mhm.
one day, as I was going in the kitchen and he was banging, on the pots and pans and stuff like that, I heard the Lord say, "Stop, listen."
Mhm.
And it was at that point that I stopped and I backed up and I noticed that he wasn't just randomly hitting and banging. He was actually keeping a constant rhythm.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
I called his mother and I said, come here, listen, listen. And so she came in. I said, listen to him. He
Mhm.
is actually keeping rhythm. And so, like I said, he was 2.5. That Christmas, we bought him, when he turned 3, we bought him a drum set at 3. So Chris never went to no training, no school, whatever, and he is a phenomenal drummer. All
Yeah.
right. He played. So I was helping them to understand that when we see the scripture said, train up a child in the way they should go, that when they get old, they will not depart from it. It is not talking about religious connotation. About teaching them about, the just the things of God or church or how to live righteous or whatever. That is not it. Actually, there's one translation that says create an environment for the development of the child's gift.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that is what I was explaining to him, that it would have been an impediment to Chris if I'm desiring him to be a preacher like I am. all right, that would have not been the thing that he was passionate or gifted to, or his attention towards. So I kept Chris around music. Everything was about music, not about what his dad is doing, but what I saw in him. I created an environment for the development of his gift.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what a lot of people are not understanding. And so I'm glad again that mom mentioned what she mentioned, because I also said to them Sunday, I want y'all to stop. And I said, I'm trying to break this religious conditioning that many of us have been imprisoned by.
Mm-hmm.
When, again, going back to the call, when we talk about a pastor, I want to know what I'm called to do. Y'all always thinking about preaching and ministry, because y'all think being an apostle is some great thing. Being a preacher is some great thing. And then y'all look at other gifts and abilities as being average or menial. They don't mean nothing to you. And
unless they see that person's making oodles of money, then
but
they
see, that's what I was getting ready to say. I said, now y'all think me being an apostle, ooh, that's a great thing, whatever. And then y'all will see cooking as something that's menial. I said, ask Gordon Ramsay about that.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Something that we think God ain't even concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's average or menial. Ask Gordon. I promise you, he's a multi-millionaire several times over from cooking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now this, to bring it back around to spirituality and the Christ consciousness, many of us, who, some of you who are listening and many who may hear this later on, many of us have had an awakening, in the sense that we now know that we're not completely and absolutely identified as a physical being only. We realize our multidimensionality. We realize our oneness. We realize those things. So, but now, whenever that happens to us, a lot of times we can go into a phase where our will goes limp. And when the will is limp, you can say, I'd like to do this, but you don't have any motivation to do it. It's like when your body is going through something and you have this severe fatigue, and your mind is saying, I need to do this. I need to get up and do this. I want to get up and do this, but you don't have the energy to do it. So it's kind of like that. It's a spiritual fatigue. And that comes when the ego has been challenged, and the ego is right at the point of being dismantled. The ego has had all of these bright ideas and dreams and things that it wanted to do, and has come to a point where it will not work. It failed. And so there's this limpness that comes at the beginning of your enlightenment journey. And so in order to find motivation at that point, you may not. It's not a permanent state, but it is a phase that's necessary, because you're now not just changing, you're exchanging. You're not changing, being changed, but you're exchanging. Now your motivation won't be, I want to make money, I want to be successful, I need to do this because everybody else is passing me, everybody else is able to do it and I'm not. So it won't be born out of frustration, but it will be born out of your heart desire.
Exactly.
And so when you, because you're going to live from the heart, you will not have any other motivation from any other aspect of yourself. It won't come from that part of you that wants to be successful. It won't come from that part of you that feels like I'm not doing enough. It won't come from that part of you that's frustrated because everybody else is doing this and I'm not. It won't come from the part of you that says, I need some more money, I need to make some money. It won't come from that place. It'll come from a place called the heart. And when it comes from the heart, what you do, you'll be doing because your heart wants to do it. And that will be motivated by love. And then there won't be, after that exchange is fully made, then you'll have the motivation. You'll have the Christ motivation.
So why you didn't come and just preach with me on Sunday?
I don't know, because we're people in two different categories. Some of us have bypassed, or not bypassed, but gone through this phase and out on the other side and ready to create, ready to actually move forward because we found our heartstrings. But then there are those of us who are still in that ego dismantling process where we're having to let go of identities that are not really us, and all of these different aspirations that have not come from the heart. And so those of us who are in that stage, we won't have motivation to do anything after after our thigh has been struck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was another point. One of the things that you said was a point that I made as well. If money is your focus, you're not. Money can never be the focus of why you're going to do X, Y, and Z. Again, just using, like I said, it was during the time of the pandemic that this interest in cooking and grilling and all of that came about.
It was burned out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that I wanted them to understand as well is we have been given, and you said it, we have been given identities from a religious perspective again. And that's why I'm seeing why some people have a hard time continuing on that particular journey, because that's not your true identity. That is an identity that somebody else gave you, that they projected on you, and it don't even fit you.
Yeah. And then the motivation might be there because you're just in survival mode and I've got to do something and make some money. That's a lot of us who are in that situation. But that even doesn't stop the creative process or your full potential, as long as you realize that that's what's happening. And so the awareness, and my sister kind of helped me with this, is being aware that you're coming from a place other than the heart. That kind of helps you. It doesn't mean that you need to change or do something different. It just means you need to be aware. And once you're aware, we tend to drop things whenever we are aware. Once it comes to light that, okay, you're doing this, or this is how you're out of alignment, we tend to, once we see that, we tend to fall in line.
Exactly. And so, just like going back, I've been doing all of this. Well, how much you charge? I don't charge, not no whatever. And so I'm doing it because I just love to do it.
Yeah.
He just revealed to me that before we came to earth, we filled out an occupation. What do you call it? We filled out an occupation contract. Oh yeah, he said we filled out an occupation permit before coming to earth. For these functions and gifts and abilities to operate through the Christ self, appearing to be ideals that we dream or come up with, but it's the Christ self honoring the occupation permit that was put inside of us for coming to earth.
I'm reminded of, when you were talking, I was reminded of the doctor by the name of Jill Bolte Taylor, who had the stroke. And we mentioned the book that she wrote after her stroke, called My Stroke of Insight. And she was enlightened during the stroke. And before the stroke, she was, I think, a neurosurgeon. I think that's what she was. And don't quote me on that, but she was really important doctor, really
a neurologist.
Yeah. And so when she had the stroke, on the other side of the stroke, she had the enlightenment while going through it and while going through the recovery, I should say. And even the stroke
itself, of insight.
The stroke itself began to give her knowledge of who she really was. And it was because she lost contact with her body. She lost contact with her body in the sense that she had no control of it. It was alien to her. And so on the other side of that stroke and the enlightenment, she was a totally different person. Now she writes books, does talks, and plays guitar.
Let me tell you something.
She's a totally different person.
I've studied into the Masons and the Solomon's Temple. When the Solomon Temple was built, that was the blueprint structured that was given to him. But he got help, like the Ethiopians got help to structure their churches in stones and rocks in the earth. Solomon got information from nanites on the other side in a dimension of nanites to help him build the temple without sound. It would have been built on surface with the cedars that Moses was, but Solomon built his without sound. That was stillness. That meant that a lot of the being that helped some of the ancient findings in stone and in the desert and in the wilderness that verified God's identity was done at nighttime. And nighttime was the right time for light beings to work so that they could use their light bodies to visualize in darkness the truth of how darkness and light work together.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
And that's something that has to be what Paul said. I went not by permission, but by revelation to speak to some of those that could only receive it by revelation, because there were others that you could not tell things to that they would not accept. And so he was picked, he by revelation picked out certain ones that he shared the mystical things with.
Yeah. Well, we've been on here almost an hour and 30 minutes.
Yeah,
you know, we kind of got caught up on this, but yeah, it's so interesting, Pastor Norman. You got to put get a chat or AI to help you with that and show you some of
what does AI say about John Greason was talking about AI in Jeremiah 1:5?
He said to ask it that.
Can you ask that now while we're on?
Yeah, I could.
And see what it says.
See what it says?
Yeah.
All right, let's try it. Let's do it. Bear with me.
Like he done called me Chef Armstrong down there. I feel like Gordon Ramsay. While I'm doing that, and Dad, you have been right about the thing about certain things keep coming up to interfere with, and so you hit that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in you.
So it says that the book of Jeremiah, the book and Jeremiah 1:5 says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee, and I ordained thee a prophet." Now, this is what I would do if I were doing this without being on the stream tonight. I would go back and tell it to pull that same verse from all versions. Okay.
Yeah, that would be good to do too.
And then it says this verse reveals that your life was not accidental.
Okay.
Before physical birth, there was divine awareness,
right,
purpose, and assignment.
Yep.
It teaches that identity begins in God before it appears in the world.
Wow. That's the Christ self. That's the you that created your body.
Now, it said, yeah.
You said comes from the message I preached, were part of what I was going to preach Sunday until he said, "Tell him to jump." It was the intentionality of God.
Yes.
It says more.
It says this, an expounded meaning is, before I formed thee, I knew thee. God speaks of intimate knowledge before creation. This means you are more than biology or circumstance. Your essence was known before your body was formed.
Wow.
You existed first as an idea, as intention and consciousness in the divine mind. You are not trying to become valuable. You were known as valuable from the beginning.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
It said, before you came forth, I sanctified thee. That means to sanctify, to set apart for holy purpose. Before Jeremiah entered the earth realm, he was marked for something meaningful.
That's us.
There is a sacredness on life itself. Purpose is not invented later, it is discovered. What seems ordinary in time may already be holy in eternity. And it says, I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Ordained means appointed, commissioned, established in function.
Yep.
Jeremiah was given influence beyond himself. Your gifts are not only for personal survival, they are for service, healing, guidance,
God, right.
and impact beyond your immediate circle.
Okay.
The universal application is, though spoken directly to Jeremiah, many read this verse as a principle. You are known before you are seen. You are purposed before you perform. You are sacred before you succeed. You are appointed before you arrive. The consciousness perspective. This verse can also be read inwardly. The divine within you already knows what you are.
That's it.
Life becomes a journey of remembering, rather than earning.
That's it.
Your calling,
recognition, awareness.
Your calling is less about creating identity and more about awakening to what was always true.
So the new birth experience is nothing like we've been taught from the scriptures. The new birth experience is not started yet until you wake up. As for the new birth experience getting you to heaven, that's a misinterpretation of it, because everybody in the spirit identity of the Christ self was already created or came from God without coming here going back.
Now, I want to finish this because we've been on here a while, Pastor.
Okay, go ahead.
Practical reflection is this. Ask yourself, what natural gifts have always been with me?
Yep.
What burdens or passions keep calling me?
Yep.
Where do I feel inward conviction and life?
Yep.
What if I am already equipped for my next step?
Glory be to God.
Before
Mom,
anyone,
please, if you can send that to me right now, please send it. Because if you go back and pull up the whole series of Discovering and Fulfilling Purpose, what I have been doing on Wednesday nights and on Sunday, you're going to find all of that mentioned in that.
Okay.
Please send that to me. Please.
Oh, I will. And it says the simple modern summary is, before anyone else had an opinion of you, God already had intention for you.
Your Christ self
has the intentionality of God. Come on.
So the affirmation is, I want everybody to say this with me. It says, I was known before I was named.
I was known before I was named.
Chosen before I was seen.
Yep.
Chosen before I was seen.
And called before I arrived.
And called before I arrived.
My life carries purpose now.
My life carries purpose now.
Amen. And that's good. Ain't that good?
Please send that. Please send it to me.
Now look, this is another way that AI is very beneficial. Isn't that a very inspiration?
Yeah.
That to take and use it every day to do your devotion with. I mean, come on, guys.
AI is really Bible.
It's helping.
But see that, and that's what I that's why I went that direction, because things that we're afraid to embrace something that is totally different and unfamiliar. And so we have a habit of demonizing everything that can actually be beneficial.
Absolutely. That is so true. So guys, we're coming to the end now, and I've enjoyed it. I don't know about you, but I have really, really enjoyed it. And that thing about Jeremiah 1:5 was the bomb. It was the bomb.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Thank you, John Greason, for saying that and getting us to do it. We appreciate you guys hanging in there with us until the very end. And use the Chat GPT. Hey, it's free. I didn't even get the paid version. I just used the free version. And it really helps you. And if you put in there anything and ask it a question, and you want an inspiration, it'll give it to you. It will give it to you.
Hey, John Greason may not consider himself to be a prophet, but he prophesied, because that was another conversation I had. Knows what he said? He said, yes, travel the world cooking.
Oh my gracious.
And not only that, when he mentioned to go and ask Chat GPT about Jeremiah 1:5, he instigated more inspiration for this
Exactly.
live stream. So
Mhm.
thank you, John. Thank you all. Thank all of you, Jill, all of the rest of you who are here. We appreciate all of your support. Later on, we may have some good news for you. We're just going to hold it for a minute, but we have some things we want to share with you guys about what's going on in our lives. And keep us in prayer. And we're keeping you in prayer. Not that things aren't working for you, but things are working for you. And don't forget to give Pastor Norman a little something, something, as you give us a little something, something. Thank you so much for the support. If this resonated with you, if this session has helped you, if this session has triggered more of your thinking and causing you to really think more deeply, then honor us with the support, and we thank you for doing that. Okay, we will be back on Sunday at 10 o'clock, Lord willing, and nothing happens. We'll all be back.
Live and in color.
Pastor, I want to call it Pastor, sorry, Lord. Pastor Norman will be back on Sunday at 9 on Facebook, and we'll be back at 10 on Facebook and YouTube. So we look forward to seeing you. We're going to see you on the turnaround, okay?
All right. See you later. Bye-bye.